Today I want to talk about Call of Duty 2020, and the reason why is of course because there have been some pretty significant rumors been going around, and that they are very interesting and something that actually gets me really excited. And this is honestly something we could expect to see more and more as the days and weeks go on, because as most Call of Duty fans know, is that Call of Duty is kind of revealed around May. It's like pretty much always in May. I don't think there's been a Call of Duty revealed later than May ever. I mean, I think, actually last year with Modern Warfare was the closest it came to not being revealed during May, and it was on, I think it was May 30th, so, it's always during May, just sometime during it. So because of that, we could expect to see more rumors and probably some leaks as the days and weeks go on, so it's a very exciting time for Call of Duty fans like myself and probably you guys. But regardless, today, the rumors I want to talk about are two, I guess three. It's kind of a 2-3 rumors. It's just that one implies another rumor, I guess. I don't know, but regardless, you guys will know what I'm talking about just right now, because I'm going to talk about it. Because today, the rumor that has came out is that Call of Duty 2020 is not going to be a Black Ops reboot, nor is it going to be called Black Ops 5. It's going to have an entirely new name altogether, except it's still going to be tied to the original Black Ops story that we got from pretty much World at War to kind of Black Ops 4, I guess. It's still going to have ties to that. It's still going to be canon within that universe, it seems, but it's not going to be called Black Ops. It's just going to be called something entirely different. This is something that I kind of implied, because it could still be a part of the Black Ops story, but just not be called Black Ops, because again, this is something I just mentioned, is that World at War is also a part of the Black Ops canon, but it's not obviously called Black Ops. But regardless, it's going to be something very similar to that, as you guys could probably imagine. But of course, the name that it seems like it's going to be called instead of Black Ops, at least currently, this may not be final, it's probably just a placeholder. I really can't see Treyarch calling their game this, but of course, it's currently rumored to be called Call of Duty Vietnam. Now, of course, this implies something like kind of really big, and that is the fact that Vietnam, it seems like this Call of Duty is going to be placed in 2020, or what am I saying? This Call of Duty is going to be placed inside Vietnam during the Vietnam War, which is kind of exciting for me, because I think about the Vietnam War kind of a little bit, not too much. I mean, I know a decent amount about the Vietnam War, and there's a lot of things I'd love to be told about the Vietnam War. And one of the main things I'd love to see is that just a kind of a true-ish retelling of the Vietnam War, because as a lot of us know, the Vietnam War wasn't the greatest war. I mean, no wars are really great, but I mean, it's just like, it wasn't really the best war ever, because as we know, it has a lot of bad things that happened during it. I mean, there was like the whole southern Vietnam's being slaughtered, and then, the whole US part of it, and just like it was a whole mess. And I'd love to see that story be told true for the most part. I mean, what I'm saying for the most part, or true-ish, I'm not saying to like try to make America look better or anything like that, like Modern Warfare did. That was not very epic of you, Modern Warfare, but I'm just saying, like, just because of its being Treyarch. I want to get into that right now, because the thing is that I'm kind of not the most excited that this is being made by Treyarch, and the reason being is just from the campaign. Like, I'm excited to see a Vietnam setting for multiplayer and maybe even zombies, but for campaign it's a little iffy, because how Treyarch seems to tell their story is more of a psychological story more than a true telling of the war, which is something more Infinity Ward's taste. They do they try to do a true telling of what Modern Warfare is really like. They did that 4 times. They did it with all the way back when they made some World War II games, and they kind of did it with Infinite Warfare. Again, it's a fiction. They're just trying to see what war would really be like in the future, but of course that's a whole different subject for a different day. But regardless, that's kind of how Infinity Ward likes to tell their stories, and that's why I would think that, I would like to see Infinity Ward make a campaign for Vietnam more than Treyarch, because I'd like to see a true telling of what Vietnam was really like. Whereas Treyarch, they don't normally make it like a true telling of the story. They more tell a psychological story about specific characters. They don't really tell the entire war story or anything like that. And I mean, that's really cool. I'm not trying to hate Treyarch for that. I love their campaigns. I love Black Ops 2. That's like one of my favorite campaigns. It was something very much like that. It was a whole psychological thing, and you know, it's kind of just how they do their stories. I love how they do it. But it's, again, since it's a Vietnam one, I just kind of want to see a true telling of the Vietnam story, and I just don't think that's what we're going to get. It's not what I'm saying here is not that I hate the idea that Treyarch is making a Vietnam game. It's very, very exciting, but just for me personally, for the campaign, not multiplayer or zombies or anything like that, just for the campaign, I personally would have liked to see a true retelling of the Vietnam War, because it's like one of the worst wars for the United States that I'm probably aware of. And, you know, or I guess you could say the Civil War, but kind of get what I'm saying here. It's one of the worst wars for the U.S. that they ever fought. So, you know, it's just something I would like to see how this war would be told from, you know, in hindsight and all that stuff. It's just something that I'd be very excited for. But of course, I'm not disappointed in it at all. I'm very excited for it because I prefer to have this kind of past setting, because you could just be based off real events and kind of play off those. And, you know, Treyarch could do whatever they do with their stories, because we know how they tell their stories, all that psychological stuff, and it's very, very epic. But of course, again, not disappointed in the fact, but it's just something that I would have personally liked to see, a true retelling of the Vietnam War than how Treyarch. Of course, that may be that Treyarch will now then change their storytelling. I hope they don't, because you gotta stick to what you're good at and what you know, instead of trying to do Infinity Wars things. So I hope they don't do that, because even though I'm saying I'd like to see a true retelling of the Vietnam War, in the end, I still want Treyarch to tell their story how they tell their story. Now, of course, I think I've said what I want to say. I'm very excited that the fact is going to be in Vietnam. It's just I'm slightly disappointed in this Treyarch, just because I wanted to see, you know, a true retelling of it, but I'm still excited nonetheless. That's what I just want to make that clear real quick, guys. But regardless, the final rumor that I want to talk about today is the release date for this game, because I know a lot of people are thinking that this game should probably be delayed, and there of course is good reasons for that. And I could quickly go over this, because as most of us know, that this current Call of Duty COD 2020 wasn't originally supposed to be made by Treyarch. Yeah, that wasn't a thing. Instead, it was originally supposed to be made by Raven Software with the help of Sledgehammer Games. They were the ones supposed to be ahead of it, but of course they went and blew their chances of being a main developer for Call of Duty when they had to have some arguments with Sledgehammer Games, and because of that, Activision saw it and they were all like, what the crap are you guys doing? This game needs to be released in yes, less than 2 years, and it's in a terrible place. So they said, Treyarch, come on, fix this mess, and that's what Treyarch's doing now. And of course, after that, I mean, we have what's going on right now. I mean, there's kind of a whole pandemic going around. I don't know if you guys noticed. I mean, it would be easy to miss, I don't know, but regardless, because of that, a lot of people are not able to work, or even if they're working, there are people who are working from home, which we know that you're not able, or a lot of people aren't able to do their full work from home. They could just do some parts of it, and this of course would hurt development, and has hurt development for a lot of games. But there is a kind of thing right here, because it's still planned to be released later this year. It's still supposed to be called COD 20, or it's not called, it's still going to be COD 2020, and we don't know if that means October, November, or December. It's probably going to be within one of those 3 months, and it seems like it's still on schedule, and that's what the rumor is. And the thing is why I think that this isn't something that's too unbelievable, because I know a lot of people are saying if you're going to release the game, it's going to be completely broken or something like that. And there are some arguments against this, and it has to do with both of the things that are going on with the development of this game. Because the first one is that, you know, they took over a broken game that Sledgehammer Games and Raven Software couldn't work out. And, you know, yeah, that's kind of a problem, but you have to remember they still did work on something. It's not like they didn't work on something, so that means that there were still work put in, at least a year's worth of work put into that game that has not gone to waste. It's not like Treyarch had to do it from scratch, so they did have something to build on, so it wasn't, again, starting from from scratch, so that shouldn't make the worst. I mean, obviously you prefer that you would have been working on it the entire time and there was never a reason for Treyarch to come in and fix it, but at least you know that this is just not they're building it from scratch with less than 2 years. Like, they still had something to work with. And then on top of that is that, of course, the pandemic stopping a lot of people from working or working from home. And I personally don't know, so I don't want to assume that this is how Treyarch is running their business currently, or how they're, dealing with the pandemic with their workers. But I know from personal experience that most people are still working. I mean, they're still going to work. Everybody in my family is still going to work, that at least works normal jobs, I guess. And it's just everyone continues to go to work. I mean, of course, there's safety measures that they're taking, but most people are still going to work. I think only 10 million people have filed for unemployment, and I mean, you could probably inflate that to a little bit more for some people who just didn't get unemployment or temporary unemployment or whatever it may be. But the point here I'm trying to make is that most people are still going to work. Like, a lot of people don't realize that. And yes, of course, there's some people, like we know for a fact Vonderhaar is not at work, he's working from home and all that stuff, but in the end it still probably isn't impossible to see. And the point I'm trying to make here is that it's not impossible to see that this game is going to launch later this year, because even though it has two big things working against it, it's still, there's kind of caveats to both of them. Even though this game was a mess when they took it over, it was still something to build on. And of course, with the pandemic right now, I mean, yeah, of course, some people aren't working or have to work from home, but there's still, most people are going to work. Of course, again, assuming Treyarch is like the rest of the world and how they, or I guess the rest of the United States and how they're handling workers. So, it's not impossible to see that this game will come out later this year, and I just want to make that clear. But anyways, I've been talking for too long already. Hopefully this was worth watching. I don't really know. I haven't made a video like this, just me talking to the camera, in a very, very long time, to say the very least. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Hopefully it was something worth watching. And if you guys did enjoy this video and you want to see more content related to Call of Duty in general, whether it be zombies, whether it be multiplayer, campaign, or probably not campaign all too much, but Warzone also and all that good stuff, then definitely do all the normal YouTube stuff, like, subscribe, bell, share, and all that great stuff. But I'm gonna go, and I'll catch you guys next stream, video, or whatever it may be, and laters, guys.